Since she's older than the male dog, she's the one who like fucks him.
That's
like her way of showing dominance.
Baller.
I mean, obviously she's not fucking him, but she just humps him.
Our dog does that all the time.
She does that to our youngest brother.
Jumps on our brother, and it's like, I don't think she knows that it doesn't work, but
it's about the dominance, dude. That's the most important part. See, now that we're actually recording,
like,
how gay is this shit?
I was about to remark
That's
on
pretty
that,
bad,
but
dude.
I didn't want to be,
Okay, it's pretty bad, but it's also, it's like the kind of thing who if I had people over, and it's not even just girl, like this shit would play well with people who are coming over to drink.
Sure. That's
like
that's a guy moment.
And I got two of them, so it's perfect for a Tinder date or whatever. Drink some nice wine out of my little kid cactus cup. It'll be perfect.
It's a very early 20s move.
Yeah, it really is. But also kind of very millennial.
I didn't buy these. No, well, where these came from were my grandma.
Oh, really?
She was like two things that were sitting around in her house. She was like, you might use them. It's like, okay, maybe.
And she was right.
There will be a day in the next like 3 years where I get laid because of these cups, and then it'll all be worth.
What percentage of like your brain is taken up by having sex?
Probably way less than I talk about. I think it's more just like an insecurity thing of like I don't fuck as much as I'd like to, so I talk about it more. Probably.
Yeah.
Nick, what about you?
Very, very little. Once I got on SSRIs and hair pills, it was like I'm a plant now. Like,
dude.
Also, I got a girlfriend, and so it's like there's no scarcity. It's not that it's boring. Actually, I have a great sex life. It's like there's no scarcity complex.
Right. Yeah, that's
it's like I can just. It's whenever either of us are down, like it's fine. So very little of my brain actually is taken, which is really freeing. I love it. I mean. Sometimes
if that works for you, that's great.
Sometimes I like gotta like it should be like and then you kind of gotta like pretend to be hornier than you are, and that's kind of annoying. But like other than that I'm sure she does the same thing.
They make pills for that, Nick.
Yeah,
they do. The SSRI that I've been on recently, and
which one?
I don't fucking know.
We're all on SSRI.
Yeah, I mean, who isn't in this day and age?
SSRI cast
of America.
Everyone list your dose and.
Fluoxetine.
I'm on like a quarter of a therapeutic dose. Like it's like remarkably low.
Same.
Yeah, that's good.
But the whole reason I brought it up was because they gave me something to take with it, which I take at night, and it's also an antidepressant.
Seroquel?
No, it's mirtazapine.
Okay.
Sure. It's also an antidepressant, but its side effects. I'm also taking it at stupid low doses, so neither of them are at like actual whatever. But this one's side effects is kind of the reverse of the SSRI, where it makes me more horny and more hungry. So it like dope, offsets that shit, but like works as the antidepressant.
That's lit.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I gotta give me some of that, man.
Yeah, it's fucking
I could just
insane.
stop taking the hair pills and like not be vain, and then that would be solved. But
then you lose your confidence.
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you have hair loss? Are you on hair pills
I like
for that?
started to. Yeah, I think it was really starting to creep. It was starting to creep back a little bit, and I was like, I'm just gonna get on top of this.
Yeah. So. I considered the.
This is brought to you by Hims.
Yeah, God. I considered doing. Didn't do the hair replacement cream, but on his beard?
Yeah.
I considered doing that.
The thing with the topical stuff, though. Who cares though? The thing with the top,
I do.
But hair is way more important than a beard.
But also,
no. 100%.
Chris still gets carded.
Yeah, I'm 25, and the biggest problem for me, and sorry to make everything about girls, but like I genuinely when I meet girls at bars,
never
like
apologize.
Never apologize for that.
Like a lot of them tend to assume I'm like a 19-year-old college kid, and I'm 25, and I'm looking for. I'm not like looking for a relationship at a bar, but I want to talk with people who are like. My goal is to find people who just graduated college like me, and like connect with them because whatever, we're the same age. And so most of the time, it's like people assume I'm in college, and that's where that's the biggest thing for me. It's not even about the looks of it.
You know what you should do? Get fat.
That would solve the problem.
That would solve a lot of problems.
Get like really big.
Yeah.
You know?
But it would create a lot more.
That's a risk you might have to take. No. I will say though, Chris, you have a very young haircut. I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but you.
Yeah, no, I kind of roll with that vibe of like trying to have the young. So it's hypocritical of me because on the one hand, I want people to recognize me and accept me for my fucking age. But on the other hand,
you're like, how can I look more 17?
Yeah. Exactly. How can I look more like a 17-year-old kid who like won't shut up about the fact that I play guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it works.
Well, I mean, you know, there are girls who are into that, and some of them you're.
Yeah. Well, right. Part of it too is right now I'm
you,
looking for the like exactly the kind of girl who's into that.
Yeah.
So
play to your type. There you go.
Know
We're talking
your
about
angle.
fucking exactly. Know what you're going for. This is the
It's
Red Pill
Alex's
podcast.
Yeah, can we get like a little more red pilled on this,
dude,
please?
this is the most
some
Red Pill
cuck shit.
podcast. Yeah.
what? Because we're talking. Are we not being aggressive
We're
enough
talking
in
about
how we're talking
game.
about?
You gotta walk up to girls. You gotta be like, "Hey, babe, what's your pussy smell like?"
God, dude.
Those Red Pill
Jesus.
people are
Really cool.
the coolest. Many people are saying.
Yeah, the coolest, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad I got off that train.
Me too,
when I was
man.
like
Holy
16.
shit.
I feel like that's just
I
like a
didn't go into
cultural
that young.
touchstone that like every like kind of I don't know, come town / Chapo listening 20 something has.
Yeah.
It's like we were at one point on the fast track to just like straight up.
Incel
You know,
bomb.
incel
And then we got laid, and then it was like, oh, actually, like, just kidding. This is not
It's
how it
remarkable
was.
how true that is because that was
Yeah.
exactly my path. In 2016, I voted for Bernie. By sophomore year of college, I was like full blown red pilled, fucking
In
off the
college you
rails.
were, really?
Yeah.
Can I-
And then junior year, I got my first girlfriend, and it all reverted back, and I reverted back to like a socialist.
Sure.
It became way cool. Can I ask you a question? You don't have to
Yeah.
answer this one. You can cut this. When did you lose your virginity?
My senior year of high school,
Gotcha. Okay.
but it was not like a meaning. It was just like
Like a
drunk-
one-off. Like,
drunk.
yeah.
I hadn't had quote unquote meaningful sex until my relationship.
Sure.
They'd all just been one
Yeah.
night stands. Where I hadn't had sober sex either until
Oh,
I got
gotcha.
in a relationship.
Gotcha. Okay.
And as much as like drunk sex is epic, it's kind of fucking awful.
Not an uncommon
Yeah, it's
experience,
not
I think,
that epic,
actually.
yeah.
That a lot of guys do that. But
Yeah, no, but it was just that it wasn't so much about like, it wasn't the getting the girl part. It was like realizing like,
why the fuck
The world
does that
isn't
influence
out
your
to-
politics, though? Like, because this is ubiquitous, right? Is that like...
well, no, but because it's more just about like, I think a lot of it came down to like frustration over social anxiety and not knowing how to like make new friends and talk to girls and like
Right.
do the things that I wanted to. So much of my anxiety about like going to the gym and like eating perfect and all this shit was a way of trying to deal with that instead of like going and putting myself out there.
Yeah.
So it's all just like it's so easy to fall down the Steven Crowder route of like young white men like the world is out to get you, and then you're like, oh yeah, shit, no, it's not my fault that I can't talk to girls. It's fucking
Society. It's
Yeah.
the sluts. The
exactly.
The slutification of the West.
exactly. It's just it's like it all works together in a rabbit
tree
whatever,
out here.
and it like it just sucks you the fuck in, and then you get a girlfriend and you're like, well, no, life is kind of fine. My life is kind of fucking easy, actually.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
some
may
like privileged
actually
white
live
dude who does an hour of schoolwork a day and then does drugs and play COD. Like my life is not that fucking hard. No one's trying to cancel me.
That's the best part. I know you guys have talked this to death, but like the whole like 75-year-old men who are like scared of cancel culture.
Dude, what are you talking about? You don't know how to use a smartphone. Like,
Relax.
what do you want about?
All right. Trust me.
Oh man, I had lunch with Nick and I's grandparents today, and
Also, well, Nick's the only listener here, but if we did have listeners, we should have announced that we have a third person here who isn't usually
It's
here.
not just some weird mashup of the two voices.
yeah, which is kind of what it sounds like.
It's really hard to tell us apart, but
Well, does Cumtown ever introduce their guests?
No. You
So then,
never
yeah,
introduce your guests.
Fuck that. Then.
I
Never
like
mind.
that was just I love that
cutting
was
that.
a tacit admission that we are just trying to become town.
Well, I mean-
way less funny.
Well, that's like every podcast started by like angsty leftists.
I think
kids. Like they want to become.
You know what though? I think we are. I
just
think
gotta
we are
lean into
smarter. Well,
We
we're
own it.
definitely smarter than most of them, and we definitely have
I
a
don't know.
way better
I think
audio
part of it
setup.
is. I think part of it's it's an act.
It's I would say probably.
Well, it's definitely an act.
So I don't think that. Yeah, no, exactly. But I don't think that they're as. Like I don't think Adam is as stupid.
Oh, no, he's
as Adam is made out to be as the character.
I
Adam
was
in the show.
talking about their imitators. Like we are smarter than.
Oh,
90%
I thought you were saying
imitators.
smarter
Yeah,
than them.
Oh
I was
no,
like,
no.
I think they're pretty
I'll
smart,
make no
actually.
statement on that.
Yeah.
We're definitely way stupider than all of them, especially Nick.
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty retarded most of the time.
Yeah,
can I
dude.
say that? Or are we going to have to bleep that?
No, we're going to cancel you.
Am I going to get canceled for that?
Fucking shit. My least favorite thing online is people who make jokes about, like, oh, you're going to get canceled for saying that. Or like the... fucking, what did you assume my gender?
Oh my God. Dude, that joke is so fucking overplayed.
Those jokes are just, they drive me insane.
Attack helicopter.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even understand. How is that? There is no logic where that is a gotcha. I don't even understand the basis of the joke.
It's the hardest eye roll. Like, it was like maybe a gotcha in 2010.
The thing is, like, it's got to be, to use an attack helicopter, there's got to be something unique about the irony of picking that thing specifically that makes it funny. And it could be any object that could have gotten...
Yeah, I don't know why.
And something about attack helicopter just plays into the, like, cringe right-wing kid who, like, wants to be a military. Like, that's where my brain goes. Yeah. This is like a kid from Texas who, like, wants to fly a helicopter.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I identify as a fucking attack helicopter. Like,
well, that's exactly what it is. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what's going on.
Well, then why is the joke still alive?
I think you're deconstructing something that was never constructed in the first place.
Well, Nick, let me tell you something. That's the whole point of this podcast.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
Nick, I got to ask you something as someone who is in the military briefly.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Is it cringe when people use like military time and they're not in the military and they've never been in the military? They're like, yeah, okay. I wake up about 600.
Oh, yeah, that's cringe. I thought you just meant people who use the 24-hour clock, and I would say no because the rest of the world does that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
really?
Yeah, Europe. All of Europe uses a 24-hour clock.
I didn't even notice that when I was in Europe.
I mean, I'm sure, like, not everyone.
Well, the circle clocks are still the same.
Well, right, but I mean, I remember in French class,
I had a Spanish phone. It must have been set to, because when I went and studied abroad in Spain, I got a Spanish phone that was in Spanish. But either it was in the 24-hour clock and I just don't remember, or they like Americanized it and gave me an American version.
You can also just flip it on and off in settings. Like, it's not hard to do.
Well, but the language was everything on the phone was in Spanish, so I just was too lazy to try and figure it out. And it was a flip phone, so I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not gonna."
To that point, though,
solve it.
Sorry, not to cut off your phone story. To your point, and for the listeners who aren't me, which is nobody, I was not in the military.
Well, I did
ROTC. So Chris, I did
ROTC.
I did ROTC in college for a year and a half, trying to obtain a scholarship to pay for a private school that was way too expensive. And then I ended up having to transfer to a state university because they kept promising me scholarships and they just kept never coming. And then eventually I was like, guys, like, I can't keep doing this. And they like surprise Pikachu faced me. Like, what do you mean? Like, they're like, we talked about this. I was like, you moved the goalpost like 4 times. Like, I cannot afford $70,000 a year for this university. And so now I go to a state university.
I thought it was like part of ROTC was like, you don't pay a dime for college, but you have to serve in the military for 4 years.
Exactly. So, okay, all right. So this is about to get really boring. But so, yes. So there are ROTC scholarships. If you're smart / know what you want to do when you're 17, you apply for them when you're a junior or senior in high school, and then you get like a 4-year scholarship, and then what you're saying is effectively true. I wasn't sure and didn't do that, and then went into college being like, this is something I'm interested in. So I enrolled in the program. So I essentially was doing it for free while competing for a scholarship. Which is way harder. Like I don't mean to like stroke my dick. I mean to like by the numbers. The chances are way lower. And they're like, oh yeah, you will 100% get one by sophomore year. I was like, okay, I can afford that. And so sophomore year comes around and they're like, yeah, next semester maybe. I was like, all right, well that's a semester I didn't think I'd have to pay for, but all right. And then it's like getting to that point and they're like, yeah, definitely by your junior year. I was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous because the school I was going to, which was a private university, kept like progressively cutting my financial aid down to the point where I was paying like $20K less than full tuition. So it was like $50,000 a year. And my parents were like, yeah, we're not. And I was like, I'm not. I dropped out. I was like, I'm not fucking doing ROTC anymore. It's killing my grades because it was like a 40-hour-a-week commitment.
Holy shit!
It was insane.
You were a mess.
It was like once a month.
I was no. I was so that's National Guard. I was because you're essentially like part-time student, like full-time or part-time student, part-time like military trainee, and so it was like 3 mornings a week we had PT at 5 a.m. and then
500 for our military listeners.
0500. That's blackriflecoffee.com. And yeah, so it was like we had that, and then we had like these like labs once a week that were like 3 hours, and then there was a class associated with it, and then there was like just all this other fucking clerical shit. So I was trying to juggle that with a biochemistry degree, and like
I pledged to frat,
and I pledged to frat. So there was like one semester where I was basically not sleeping and just running off of like modafinil. You
sound like that dude who fucking. Did you guys see this? From Derek posted about him. The 19-year-old kid who died.
Yeah, who fucking died.
Enough.
Yeah. Now, granted, I wasn't like working that hard. It was, but I was not sleeping very much.
But he also was like he was maintaining like a 6% body fat.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. I like went back and watched some of his videos. It was really
it's really fucking depressing. I've been doing that the past couple of nights. Like I can't stop myself. I don't want to, and I don't enjoy a second of it. Just like watching that kid's videos. There's something about it that's super intriguing to me. Just like watching this kid who's just clearly an emotional disaster.
Well, he just has a crippling eating disorder, and it literally killed him. So yeah, it's pretty tragic. But
yeah.
In any case, so what I was getting around to, I'm sorry, was that what I was getting around to was that what ROTC did give me was so much less respect for like the YouTube like tactical LARPers who are like, because I used to be in like, I'm like prepping and shit when I was like 16. I think it was an anxiety coping mechanism and largely still is, but and like, there's nothing less cool to me now than people who like fetishize the military, because really what I took away from this is the military is a ridiculously bloated, like bureaucratic nightmare of an organization that like, obviously there are some facets of it that are extremely well run and like well-oiled machines, and the rest of it is just a disaster. So
it doesn't, I mean, that's sort of the case with all of this. Any
large
like,
group of people,
like you can't avoid it.
No,
and it.
So Nick, do you feel like you dodged a bullet by not?
Yes and no. I mean,
what branch would have you been in?
Army.
You would have been Army.
Unironically, I did lose something of a sense of purpose, like because I spent most of my high school career kind of like being like, yeah, like this is what I'm gonna, I need something hard and uncomfortable and like virtuous. Well, I thought it was virtuous at the time to do. And then when that kind of fell away and I became disenchanted with also just like the US's, like this also overlaps with my political kind of growth of realizing that we're in an imperialist country, right? Like, I still have this like weird, like I need to do something hard and, bigger than myself, and now I just don't know what that is. So that I'm still left with, but that's a me problem, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of that shit out there, but I mean, certainly, I don't think there's anything wrong with like acknowledge, because it's like the go-to and easy thing. It's like that people who seek that bigger than, and you can see it with plenty of kids.
100%.
Like that's like part of the draw of the military,
right?
And it clearly was for like the Jockos of the world and all that,
right?
And but the thing is, you can't fucking lie to yourself. I mean, I say this as someone who's never done an ounce of any of this, but like you can't lie to yourself about what your motivations are. Like if you genuinely have moral hesitation about the military, the U.S. military as an organization, like I just can't imagine that bringing you the sense of like this just like undying purpose. Like every waking second, I'm like motivated and ready to go to fucking war. It's like if you're questioning what you're doing, then I'm sorry. Like I know you're looking for that. We all sort of are.
But you're not gonna.
You're not gonna find it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And the other thing that I became really disenchanted with is the fact that most military jobs are not what you think they are, and they are mind-numbingly boring. Most and like I wasn't like, oh, I want to go infantry and Rangers or whatever. No, I knew a lot of guys who were like that, and honestly, I admire them a lot. But like that was not me. And then I realized if you're not going to do that, like the jobs are going to be essentially just big bloated government jobs where you have no freedom over your life because you're under the military's thumb. And what you're doing on the day-to-day basis will make you want to blow your brains out. And so that was another thing where it's like, okay, so what am I ultimately going to do with this? And if it's like, oh, I'm just going to go push, like be a pencil pusher for 8 years after college, like what? Like, is that worth it? Like when I could just like, I don't know, do something, like actually do something with my degree, So in any case, I definitely feel like I dodged a bullet for sure. But now my question is like, all right, how am I going to scratch the itches that I thought would be scratched by the military?
Which is a question you would have run into in the military.
Yeah,
and maybe it would have been worse.
And it would have been worse because it would have been like, fuck, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah,
you know?
You couldn't have gotten out.
Right, exactly. So
then you go genuinely insane.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think that I know a lot of people obviously suicide is a big problem in the military. And I know not all of it is from combat PTSD. Some of it is from like the fact that, you know, you have really no freedom over your life, and you feel like you're in something that is at best useless and at worst like actually detrimental to the world.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't fucking. I mean, in the deepest, like the darkest of my experiences with depression, there's like, I imagine most people go through some feeling of like, Jesus Christ, like this all needs to just fucking disappear, and I need to find something I can get lost in.
Yeah,
and not that like only depressed people want to join the military. That's not what I'm saying. But like for me, like the only time I've ever had those urges were definitely going through really dark phases of my life where it's like, Jesus Christ,
what
like,
else
literally nothing matters.
Right.
Like, so it's either like, if I'm going to be fucking alive, whatever, I'll go fucking serve in the military and I'll turn into Jocko, Mr. Like, it's almost sort of, in a weird way, it's that sort of thing where it's like you're searching for the world to be simpler than it actually is. And so once you've like grown up enough, like as far as just like an understanding of the world, it's like that, like, okay, like U.S. good, terrorist bad,
right.
Like, and it's like such a simple way of it's like, it just removes all the complexity.
Right.
Which sucks because there's probably as much nuance and complexity in foreign relations as there is in anything in the world. So like I don't know how. I feel like on some level, like the Navy SEALs and the Jockos of the world, like it's not to say like Jocko, I think, is probably a significantly smarter person than I am, but there's some level of like you've got to distance yourself from reality a little bit to get lost in the sense of like, this is the most important thing I could be doing with my life.
Definitely.
This is all that matters. I have like, and so I don't know.
And a similar but related topic is like, or similar but different, or related but different, is like, I think a lot of people kind of realize that and then also go into this like, oh, ergo all people in the military are bad. And it's like, no, like obviously what we're doing as a country, you know, is often very morally questionable. But I do think like the people who are involved in it are often just as much victims as, you know, and evidenced by the Ukraine thing, right? Is like you see these heartbreaking stories of these Russian teenagers who are told like, oh, it's a military training exercise, and now they're being asked to kill civilians, and like a lot of them are surrendering, and like it's, you know, they're not
it's fucking horrifying.
They're pawns, right? Yeah. And so I view military or U.S. military, or soldier like the same way. I think.
I mean, the Twitter bots you see, we were talking about this last night. It's like the Twitter bots who are like willing to make and not just in a joking way, but in a genuine way, make fun of every single person who joins the military. It's like it's sort of this like their world view is as simple as like capitalism bad, socialism 100%. Good, like, and so like they just can't. But they can't give it any more nuance than that. And it's the same thing. I remember very distinctly having this back and forth with a family member of mine who's like, I view as like just stereotypical, like libcuck, can't think. And so I'm not going to say who it is, obviously. But she was saying to me, like, you need to hold it back a little bit with your criticism of Amazon, because there are lots of really good people who work at Amazon, and you're like hurting, like, we don't want to be like tearing them down. I'm like, no, you're literally could not be missing the point even further. Like, criticizing Amazon's about protecting those people, and it's not. I can literally call Jeff Bezos and say that Amazon's like the biggest piece of shit in the world, and like it shouldn't have to correlate. It shouldn't have. You can. I don't think it's hypocritical at all to be able to say those things and say that the workers are the ones getting fucked, and I don't have anything against people who are working there. It's the same thing with the military, and I think anyone who can't.
Yeah, it's like, an inability to separate the organization from the people.
I don't. If you can't make that separation, then you're fucking lost.
You make this. I see the same thing all the time with Israel, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, Israel, much in the same way as the U.S., is like, I think what the government is doing is
a great example of it.
You know, like a horrific thing, but like, are Israelis the problem? Like, no. And even if they support what the government is doing, like, is that a brain? You know, it's like I still wouldn't blame them.
If you were them and you grew up in those circumstances, you
100%
very well may hold similar views, and you're kind of deluding yourself.
If we were our parents, we would have grown up. We would be the age we are right now, and would be totally against. It's like this easiest analogy that I bring up all the time. It's like if we were our parents, we'd be against gay marriage at our age.
Yeah,
like and we not probably. Just like just. I mean, yeah, not necessarily. It's certainly if we were our grandparents.
But it's a very high, very
significantly higher. And like they were just, it's not to say that they're any less left. Like my mom was, I mean, she wasn't like full blown like hippie druggy, but she grew up very much being like anti-Vietnam War, all this shit. And I doubt it like ever came up. But I think if she was questioned about it, she would have probably been like, yeah, no, gay people shouldn't be allowed to get married.
Yeah.
When she was our age.
Right.
And so, it's just people need to stop. And God, it was my Greek history course I almost dropped the course because there was a girl in my class who just wouldn't fucking stop interrupting the professor and being like, no, we will not read Aristotle in this class because he was a misogynist. And she like wouldn't, she was trying to not allow the professor to talk about Aristotle, and which was interesting to me that she chose Aristotle out of like, I don't think that anyone from Greek civilization like.
Why would you sign up for the course if?
Well, she was clearly there just to shit on it. Like she signed up thinking like, oh, let's just shit on some old misogynist people because that's fun.
That's hilarious because she's paying to do it. you are using your parents' dime. Probably, I assume. Maybe it's hers. That would make it even funnier. Like just to. Yeah, you're playing yourself. That's amazing.
This professor was hers. He was a total fucking just weirdo. But he had gone to grad school at USC, which is like a good. I think it's a pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good school, but also I think that they have a pretty strong. What's it called? Like classics, whatever. So going from University of Southern California to the fucking middle of Ohio.
Oh my God, dude, I would put a gun in my mouth.
It was like a little rough for him. He was having a hard time.
Yeah.
And I think it was his first job as a professor. So I don't understand exactly how the path to tenure works, but he certainly didn't have tenure yet. And he was only offering the position for one semester. So the dude was grinding on his research to try and get his whatever. And so like he clearly cared about the course, was a very smart person, had a lot to say, but he just like the time he put into the course, like he just didn't. I never got the vibe it was like he was too lazy, like he was just like grinding all the time, and this was like his intro class, so he's like, why am I?
Yeah, it's an intro class.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Yeah. So I totally understood it, but he was sort of out of it. But I could just, the dude was ready. He was so close to just being like, I can't with y'all, and I'm gonna walk out of this fucking class right now, just because it's like what. What are we doing?
I'm so glad I go to a state university now.
Especially
in like a STEM major, which is like does come with its own level of like insufferable people, but like also.
I mean that was an extreme. Most of my liberal artsy classes weren't anything close to that. Although I did have a person. What do you? Because you obviously don't say girl or guy for people who use they them pronouns.
Fellow student.
A fellow student.
A folk.
A folk.
It sounds like it's like a hobbit or something, like an elf.
Well, they were very short, so
it's not out of the question, man.
But yeah, this person or this fellow student of mine, my co-classmate.
Unless they don't identify as human.
This human. No, not man. Who them.
Who them.
But yeah, no, we made it about 3/4 through my God, this is the worst philosophical topic too, but it was existentialism. And we were about 3/4 of the way through the semester. Just midway through class, this student who I don't think had contributed yet once in the entire class raised their hand. This was just like a question midway through the class about the reading, and just said, you know what? We haven't read a single black author. Fuck this. You are going to assign black authors for the rest of this course or else.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else what? You're going to leave the class?
I mean, they didn't word it exactly like that, but that was clearly the message. Like
was it that aggressive?
There was no... I mean... It wasn't that concise, so I wouldn't say it was that aggressive, but it was very...
Dude,
they spoke as if they were in a position of power to say... Like, they spoke as if it was like the chair of the department coming to the professor saying, this is how you will lead your course. And it was like... And it was on the one hand, like there have been in recent years more, I mean, because you can, as is the case with any academic department, like black voices can be hard to come by. And so there are more of them in the world of philosophy in recent years. And so there were readings we could have chosen to get broader points of view. And I was like, okay, like on some level, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I probably agree with you and think it's probably a good thing that we read modern takes on this whole thing. Because there's certainly in philosophy, there's this weird obsession where like anyone who has anything modern to say, we're like, I don't know why, but we like don't care. Yeah, we don't read anyone who's written anything post like 1970. We just don't. So whatever.
Well, because philosophy stopped happening after 1970 because everyone started smoking too much weed.
That was when they decided.
But that was probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been in a class. That shit was fucking scary. I was spooked.
What was the result of that?
I think the professor, to his credit, the dude nailed it. He was sort of like, I haven't thought about that. It's something I haven't thought about. It's something I should have thought about. And I can't give you a guarantee that we'll read entirely black authors for the rest of the course. But after this course, I promise you I will go back to my office and take some time to reorganize the rest of the syllabus. And I'll try and include some differing opinions on this topic. And he did. He, like, two or three of the authors we read from that point forward were black authors. Now, I will say, the one thing, the one, and this wasn't on them, it was on the rest of us, but we were also scared of saying something that wasn't right after that whole back and forth, that when we were going over the black authors, no one would raise their hand to like when the professor was asking questions about the reading except for this one person. So that was sort of like, okay, this is kind of weird. And really all it would have taken was like one brave soul raising their hand and saying something, then the rest of us would have been able to feel like we were able to contribute.
Well, that makes sense because it was pushed on such an aggressive ground, and it was not even that's necessarily wrong, but like, no shit, no one's going to be like, here are my thoughts on this.
Yeah. But part of it also is like existentialism is literally gibberish on a page. You can't fucking understand it. And so that on top of trying to be conscious of like the modern social issues in the world, it's just like good luck. Good luck finding anything to say. Yeah, it's too hard.
It is funny though when like students think almost like think that not that the student who said that was necessarily wrong for saying what they said, but like for instance, I remember I was taking as like a gen ed last semester, I was taking a North American archaeology course. I basically learned about like all of the various North American indigenous people. It was an interesting course. It was taught well, but the professor got to like one group. I don't even remember which group it was. And like someone raised their hand and was like, that's actually a very offensive term for that group. I was like, bro, you're going to tell the like, it wasn't like it was some ancient, but no, the guy was probably like 35 or something. Like, and like, you're going to tell the professor, and like the professor had worked with, and that was like what we spent the whole first half of the course talking about, is like the kind of ethical implications of the way that archaeologists have kind of fucked over indigenous people, and like how do we repair that relationship. And he was very passionate about that. And it's like, you're going to tell the dude who has worked specifically with these people that like the term he has for them is wrong, like that, and he was like, well, it's actually not. Like if you
well, that's a good thought, but actually no.
Yeah, like literally, like if you read more than one article on that,
if you hadn't seen some motherfucker on Twitter saying, I mean, it's a shitty place to find yourself in, because it's so easy to sound like it's like to play right into, you can fucking hearing a young person like criticize, like, oh, they're policing my speech, or saying something in the way that could be interpreted like that will like make the Ben Shapiro's of the world like come, and it's like, no, dude, fuck off. I'm not trying to please you, Ben Shapiro. That's not the goddamn point. I fucking hear so much
God,
worse.
I wish I could please Ben Shapiro.
Dude, I wish I could please his sister. Oh my Lord, what?
Ben Shapiro's sister, oh my God.
Her tits are enormous.
He's got some fucking honkers.
What is it with Jewish girls and big tits, dude? Like, this is a thing,
you said it, not me.
This is a thing.
Chris.
Well, I have directly said.
I also have
Jewish. And she had the biggest. It was almost.
It was disproportionate.
Good God, I hope she doesn't ever listen to this. But like, it was too much. They were for how tiny she was. They were fucking.
I have a disproportionate amount of experience with Jewish women, and it's a pattern that I've noticed.
It is a pattern.
I don't understand.
So you have a thing for Jewish girls?
I definitely don't, but it's
you do.
It's a circumstantial.
You do.
No,
I don't.
Because you run into girls all the time. There's no way. It's
but I don't run into girls who want to fuck me. I think it's
so the Jewish girls are.
Yeah. But I think it's this weird kind of daddy kink where I look like a Nazi, and so they're like.
Are you talking about that girl who gave you a blowjob in the lab?
Oh, true. I forgot about that. Oh God!
Nice.
I hope my girlfriend doesn't listen to this. Jesus Christ!
You were like 15, dude. This is
no. I was senior year, but she did not have big tits.
No, actually. I was gonna say.
Yeah,
but she is Jewish.
She is Jewish. Yeah. Good for her. Breaking expectations.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I got accused of being a racist in high school because of the girl I was seeing at the time, and that I was only interested in white women, supposedly, which, given the high school we went, I was also accused by this of someone who then identified as a white woman. A white woman? A white woman.
A white woman.
Wow. That's a hot take.
That was a hot take. That was pretty cool.
Who then identifies as not a white woman?
Yeah, they're I think non-binary of
that
some
doesn't have anything
flavor
to do
now.
with whiteness.
Well, I mean, they may or may not identify as white. I'm not one to say.
Okay, wait,
being
hold
the
up.
Slav that I
Time
am.
out. All right, I might go full Ben Shapiro here, but how do you? Can you? I don't think you can identify as a different race.
I agree with you, but I will say that take did very briefly get me in hot water in college.
Dude, who said that?
We'll talk later.
Okay. So can we bleep this? Because I need to know.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
We'll circle back on that
the whole world. I thought one of the rare moments of the entire U.S. coming together to dunk on someone was the racial Dolezal shit. I thought we all agreed that that's not cool.
I thought we did too. Me too, man.
That was pretty weird.
That was fucking
But really,
crazy.
though, I mean, hey, what is
one of the
difference?
crucial aspects of like talking about like the black community in America is that like they didn't have a choice but to be there.
Yeah.
So the notion of choice doesn't make sense to me.
No, I am 100% on board with you. Just so we're all clear, but
it's because it's a different kind of. I don't know. There's probably some academic term for it, but it's a different kind of construct than gender.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. This is a tough one.
Well, actually, no, that's interesting because I could see someone making the same argument. It's like, no, you're born with a penis. You don't have a choice.
I think
that's
so.
Interesting.
Not to get super into the gender stuff, but I think there is a underlying fact of the matter with gender identity that doesn't exist with race. Is that there is something. I don't want to say it's like it's dysphoria because that gets people fucking triggered.
Transmedicalist.
Yeah, but whatever. But there's some kind of something within you where you're just like, this is not right. With the gender thing. I don't believe that exists for race. I guess.
How do you know?
I don't know.
Well, because
frankly,
but
I'm willing to go out on this limb, and this is what I believe, and I'll fuck anyone who thinks I'm wrong.
My brain is telling me, and this could be super stupid, but so both things we would say are social constructs, right? Mm-hmm. But one of them is a construct that was built off of a characteristic about how someone appears.
Yeah.
So that seems like so it's like in the way that we can talk about blackness as a real thing in the United States. It exists because we have grouped together a group of people who share a common physical appearance, whereas with gender identity, it purely is about an individual and how they identify.
Yeah,
and so there's that in. That seems like an important distinction.
Gender. Yeah, I think so. Gender,
and so that you could say that, like, no, I'm not. You're not allowed to identify as a different race, because I feel like that. Seems like the correct view.
That seems like it holds water.
Anyways.
There's some lady on YouTube and shit who has like documents on this, who has written up shit about why it's different, who I think is a philosophy major and is like a law student or something.
Fucking Christ,
So if you actually want to read this,
the world would be such a better place if we just axed philosophy. Good God.
But there's so few of them.
Yeah,
that it's like, what do you really? I think
what
the
are we
world.
losing?
I think the world. What if you had to get rid of like a certain level? Man, this is such a like early 20s conversation. But like, what major would you just
what major
like
has to go?
delete? Like, and I don't mean delete
axe?
the like programs. I mean anyone who is in that major or holds a degree in that. Like
Econ.
they disappear.
Philosophy.
Econ.
You're out of here, bro.
It's
I'm
econ.
fine. I'm chilling.
Yeah, you're good. You're off the hook, dude. No one's saying that you're wrong.
No one needs
What's your major?
Biochemistry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Biochem people. Yeah, I know STEM people like this. It's like it's
STEM
it's
people
an
are-
exact thing. It's like But
Some people
that
are
angry.
Yeah, some
It's just
people are
like,
annoying though,
Yeah.
and it's more. But
we all agree that,
pass
like,
the buck
someone
here.
has to do it.
I'll pass the buck here to engineers. They're more annoying than, and I agree. Someone's
that's
got to do it.
objectively true.
Hey, my dad was an epic engineer, bro. Don't fuck. No, I'm sure he was a piece of shit about it, but
Jesus.
well, everyone is about the shit they studied.
That's true.
Because we care about it so much more than the people who didn't.
Yeah.
No one really wants to talk about philosophy as much as I do. No one
Yeah.
really. Well, actually, you don't actually seem like you have that strong of an inclination to talk about like
Oh
econ
God,
theory.
no.
Do you?
You've
No,
never been
you've
at our
never
dinner
been
table, dude.
in it.
It's rough.
Because
It's actually not that. It's interesting, but
it's pretty bad. You don't have to make any bones about this, Nick. It's kind of like it's like, not to get into game theory, but there's a sort of tipping point equilibrium.
Yeah, fuck off. This is exactly why
and this is
killing
why-
you all would be better. It would be so much better.
No, but there's a point where most of the time I'm pretty chill and I'm like yeah, man, like you right. And then sometimes like I will get triggered and I will go no, and then like plant my fucking flag in the ground.
The thing, Alex, that I don't know that I don't want to say that because maybe that's not true. Maybe you intentionally do this, and actually that's probably is the case. But I think it took a while for you to realize that more words doesn't equal better.
No, I intentionally do it to sound smarter.
But that's my point though, is that it doesn't make you
and I look like an ass.
sound smarter. It makes it turns people like
Yeah. No, I
and if you're doing it for your own entertainment, that's fine.
Yeah, I did that because I actually. There is a point where you're so immersed in the jargon that you actually can't get it down to a level. I've become much better about this if I'm actually trying to explain shit once I started working with people who don't have a technical background.
Right.
So now when I do it, it's because I'm memeing.
Right.
Up until I was about like 18 through 21-year-old Alex, like. Yeah, that was because I didn't know. It's not because I was trying to sound smarter. It's because I didn't know how to express the ideas more concisely.
Totally understand that. I think that's, but yeah. But
you're
that's something
right.
that comes with time,
No,
though.
yeah.
You know, it's like,
I think that's probably if I had to pick my family and their pet peeve of me, it's that exact thing. When I get it, when something triggers me at a dinner conversation, I won't shut up, and then it's the rest of the conversation.
right.
Like, for example, the tipping point equilibrium thing, the way is like, it's like a seesaw. And at some point, the seesaw saws over to the one side. And then at that point, I become triggered and I just go full kill mode.
Right. Yeah.
That's
There you go.
the normie way of saying it.
Right. Sure. But you know what? That makes sense.
Because I know you well enough that I can see it in you when that happens. It's a very visible react. Like you show a lot of physical
myself.
signs of that reaction. Of
That's
like,
a familial
Wait, hold up.
thing.
Alex is
Yeah.
ready to.
By the
fucking-
way, that's like that is very much.
switches are flipping.
The switches are flipped. That is very much something that is in our genetic DNA. For you,
Does your dad
for
do that,
you,
though?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
one,
yeah.
I've met him for a total of one night, but he didn't
Yeah.
seem like he had it in him.
No, because he's
he doesn't till he does, and then it's like, I don't even know how many car rides I had with him where he's like trying to explain like finance shit
he
to
goes
me,
so-
and
he
I
goes
was
so
like,
deep,
oh
you're
my
like,
god.
oh.
It was like he does this thing, and like our father is a great guy, but like when he like I don't know, when you're like sad or angry or something like that, and he like go and you're like in your room being all mad, and he goes up to talk to you. He was so good at like he would just keep talking to the point where you're like, can you just like leave? To where it's like, all right, I'm over whatever I was upset about because I just want you to stop. And I know for a fact I do the same thing to our younger brother like all the time. So it's absolutely
That's why he's
genetic.
so angsty.
Yeah, exactly.
he's
But
so
like for
angsty.
Greg, he does he like does that, and then he starts going, you have like, I don't know. We all have like these like weird ticks.
I fight stance. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, you go into fight stance mode.
Yeah. So it's.
But you have a very unique when you're sitting. I picture it so much around like a round table, like a school table or something. Where there's a lot of people talking about something. And people are throwing around dumb takes all the time, and then someone will throw one around that gets you. And there's a very distinct, like, it's not just this, but like you go up.
Oh, it's
very much like
it's
a predator ready to go.
It's a full body erection.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
That's what it is. I am, because in that moment I am enlightened by my own intelligence.
Based.
That would be the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's a Reddit meme.
My mind is a maze. Explore it with me.
Have you not seen this? The full quote is like, "In this moment, I am not enlightened by a phony god, but by my own intelligence," or something.
That's
like
remarkable.
Man, I'm so glad like atheism as like a identity is no longer a thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that all those people,
new atheists,
all those
went
people like
away.
either relaxed, became like reactionaries, or like TERFs, which are
Right.
Well, religion is not part of the. It's not part of the discourse the way it used to be back in the good old Bill Maher, Sam Harris days.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh God, I was such a new atheist. Fuck. Man, I wouldn't.
What is
shut up
new
about
atheism? What is that?
That's the like where you're not just an atheist, but you're like
You're, like,
trying
an
to
aggressive
make everyone
atheist.
else an atheist.
Oh, God.
It's like the Sam Harris, what's his name, Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, and the fourth one who's the least famous, and
that other guy who no one gives a
Fuck, dude. I feel I
not
like
gonna remember.
every time anything about Sam Harris circa 2010 comes up, I get like this like pang of like cognitive dissonance because his waking up meditation app has been like the best thing for my mental health.
oh, it's incredible.
Yeah,
But
it's really good.
but also like he
dude
was
wrote-
a member of like the intellectual dark web, and it's like
in the
fuck,
midst
dude.
of the fucking
He
torture
got out of that
scandal, he wrote an
real
article
quick, though.
with the title "In Defense of Torture." So
that is true. That is one of the worst Sam Harris takes.
Yeah. So it wasn't even so much a take. It was just it was the classic example of when philosophy is not how to handle a situation.
Yes.
Which is to throw a thought experiment out there to prove a point, which the thought experiment inherently makes assumptions about reality that's just like would never come to be.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, okay, sure, but you're not actually, you're just like, you're ignoring the context of the conversation that's going around right now. And we're having a discussion about the reality of whether or not we should torture people. And coming up, we can all come up with thought experiments where we should kill people or where we should do any number of bad things. But in the midst of a conversation where we're having a real back and forth about whether or not we should do said potentially bad thing because of the positive outcomes, coming up with a thought experiment, which is so far to the extreme of why we should do something bad as a way of saying like, yes, okay, this thing is morally acceptable. It's just a waste of time, and it's morally misleading. And ironically, it's Sam's biggest W in regards to saying fuck you to the Brett Weinsteins and the current IDW people about the anti-vax shit, where he's like, you guys are coming up with just so much random shit on the spot that having a debate, like he was saying he won't do a debate with Brett Weinstein because
I
he
watched
can't.
that. I don't know if it was a video or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was
a podcast.
one of his AMAs or something. He's like, yeah, like I can't like fact check in real time. Like when you're that intentionally coming up with arguments on the spot, or not on the spot, but they're premeditated to go against something which is like so. Like you're going so far outside of the actual conversation that's happening to make your point that it's like, okay, I can't like fact check you and debate you in real time. And it's the same shit. And I think it's the same exact shit with the In Defense of Torture article that he wrote, where you can't. It's like if he were to bring that up in a debate format, like it's hard to be like, okay, well, no, in your thought experiment you're wrong, but because he's not, he's probably right.
When did that article come out?
Sometime it was towards the end of the Bush presidency.
Do you think he would still stand by it? Has he
No,
made any
I don't think he
statements?
stands by it at all. No, I think I think he's very much said like I think I might be totally wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he's at the very least said like I wish I hadn't posted that.
Fair.
I'm not sure he's said he
Completely
thinks he was wrong.
Yeah.
I think he said he wish he.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like,
Personally, that's good enough for me. I don't know, because if it's like if you're like, because if his stance is like, I still stand by the pretense of my thought experiment, but I shouldn't have posted it. It's like, okay, well, like,
fair enough.
Whatever, dude. Like, okay, fine. Like, I think I'm satisfied, but I still think that's like a.
Well, it shows that he understands the actual problem.
Exactly.
Which is that, like, if I tried hard enough, I could probably come up with some thought experiment where it seemed like judging people on the basis of race was a good thing. Intuitively it seemed that way, but it's so much like if I were to come up with one, if I was to spend 2 weeks coming up with this thought experiment, which on its face value appeared to have some logical validity to it, and then I posted that to Twitter with a massive following in the midst of one of the, like, when the whole national conversation was about race after, like, a police shooting or something, it'd be like, okay, I'm clearly trying to make a comment on what's going on, and I'm not just throwing this out there for the sake of a thought experiment.
Infer by cultural context about what you really are thinking. Yeah. So I think Sam Harris is a guy who's like, I definitely don't agree with all of his takes, but some of his work genuinely is really good.
When it comes to his exploration of human consciousness, I'll take it.
And
it's very
sometimes
fascinating.
it does have some incredibly base takes. Like, I think he is spot on about, like, his analysis of Trump.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, no, I loved his talk about Trump, and I loved the fact that he was. I mean, if there's something about Sam that it's similar to Bernie in a way, and why I like Bernie, where it's like he doesn't. I mean, it's a little bit less so maybe with Bernie now, but what the appeal of Bernie initially was like, it doesn't matter who I've been friends with, who I like the traditional way of how we interact with other inner circles. It's like, I'm just going to say what I fucking think.
Kind of like,
and if the person who I fully agreed with last year on something was my best friend now is wrong, I'm going to call him a fucking idiot.
He's kind of like Destiny in that regard.
Shut the fuck up.
Please shut up.
or actually, even more pertinent, kind of like me. I will throw anyone under the bus. I don't give a fuck, dude. If you had to live in my brain for 8 seconds, you'd kill yourself.
Can't believe that's a real quote.
He is incredible.
That's a Destiny quote?
Yes.
No way.
Yes, it is. This is why, okay, so our little brother who's like maybe autistic.
He's like a Destiny
he's
stan.
like he's a Destiny stan. And he's like, I could totally see him saying something like that.
Wait, so is he the most centrist in your family?
Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe.
That's
I think he and I probably...
The youngest being the most centrist that's incredible.
But
that's
the
rare.
issue is that he's like also the smartest, and it's
he is by far the smartest.
Yeah, like by a long.
Maybe it's his way of
how
saying
we talk
fuck
about,
you
like,
to all you old fucks.
I think
I'm
it
just
might
gonna
be, and I'm really interested to see where he stands at 21.
Because I think
he's like 17.
His exposure
right now.
to a ton of
he's
dumb
18,
fuck
but-
people in college is really gonna like.
I know, like thinking where I was at 18
he's
as
gotta
a
get the
senior in
fuck
high
out of
school.
the fucking so I hate Barstool, but I follow Barstool a lot. It's this ongoing hypocrisy thing in my brain. But Lil Sass is going through that shit.
Oh, I love
now,
that.
dude.
I saw him driving
how
around
fucking
once.
Awful the world is and how much New York City sucks, and dealing with like getting out of his bubble. Like the dude seems miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he's living this life of just being a comedian.
dude,
so it's
in
like
like
he's gonna
second
do it.
grade, I was like friends with his sister. Like, it is weird. He's like, it's funny that he's like our town's only like
Export.
like big
fucking Lil
celebrity.
Sasquatch.
Lil
Who's this,
Sasquatch.
like, what is he? How
He's
tall
like
is he?
He's like
5?
20.
Well, no, I know he's 20, but what is he? He's probably like 5'10", 5 like just average his height and just super skinny.
Yeah.
Now he's got a buzz
To
cut.
be fair,
like he just
he's
looks.
pretty funny. Like,
No,
I mean,
he is very funny.
Pretty funny.
He's very funny.
Many people are saying.
But I think he seems like the kind of person who just had never gotten out of like a wealthy-ish New England bubble,
Yeah,
and then
'cause
all of
he
a
never
sudden,
did.
Exactly
and then
what
he
happened.
did, and he's like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking miserable.
Yeah.
He just hates New York City.
Yeah, dude.
he's the king of New York.
Yeah, he is the king of New York.
But
6ix9ine,
he
please
also-
don't kill Lil
He wouldn't
Sass,
work without
please.
his. Do you know his podcast?
I don't follow him at all. I just know his deal.
His podcast. I really think the more important character is the other person.
Interesting.
I think he talks more, but I think that the other person is more important to it being like a successful and funny podcast.
Kind of like Chris and I.
Yeah.
Interpret that however you will.
No, I think that's exactly right. I won't shut the fuck up and you steer the conversation in like a maybe somewhat interesting way.
See, I was going the other way. You're clearly the more interesting one, but because you have tape.
Well, no,
I would
Lil,
say he
Lil
is,
Sass
but
is
you're the
more
driver,
interesting
though.
than the other person, but I think the other person is crucial
it's just
because otherwise Lil Sass is just a lost 20-year-old trying to
Right.
like make jokes. Like Give a fucking cringe, antisocial, just like super awkward 20-year-old who's also simultaneously super funny a microphone.
Yeah.
And be like, here's a massive audience, go be funny.
It's kind of like a social experiment to engineer Nick Mullen too.
Dude, I really hope Lil Sass
Lil
turns out
Sass,
to be
he has an erection for Nick. Like the dude,
good.
You can tell.
That's a good sign.
The dude
That is a good sign.
Is obsessive.
He's gonna go far.
He will go far. If you're
Dude, I gotta hit him up.
If you're chasing the funniest man in the world, I mean that's a good place
Dude,
to be.
what would you do if you saw a fucking what's that ad for the most interesting man in the world?
Dos Equis.
Yeah, what if you saw a Dos Equis ad, but it's the most funny man in the world. It's just Nick.
That would be incredible.
I think more companies should go for shit like that, where it's like you could just make a whatever-ish ad that would play with most people, and it would be like, whatever, okay, the most interesting man in the world got too old, he retired, so we're going to pick the most funny man. And so most people who see it will be like, okay, whatever, it's just some random funny kid.
Yeah.
But the niche group of people who would see Nick Mullen and would literally have like their year made seeing him in a Dos Equis ad would be the coolest thing ever.
Dude, I won't lie to you. Every time I go into New York for work, I maybe possibly secretly pray.
Run into Nick
The thing
Mullen.
is, I've said this before. He definitely, I don't know why, but I can just tell he sucks at interacting with fans.
Oh, for sure.
I bet he's
100%.
He's probably
and he's short. And
he's
just
short.
mad.
Oh yeah, he's like 5'8", right?
Yeah, he's like 5'6" or 5'8".
My life is
like
ruined.
I know.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be nearly
Tragic.
as funny if he was like 5'11".
Oh,
if
for
he was
sure.
average height, he
True.
wouldn't be funny.
That's true. Sometimes I wish I were short for that reason. I think it'd be funnier.
I tell people, I'm like, well, I mean, to be clear to our fans, I am 5'4", 330. But like, I do tell people, I tell girls and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm like 5'8", 5'9".
Dude, a guy I know pulled the fucking shit that you do, where he's like 6'1". He's a little taller than me, and he was like, yeah, like some girl like asked me, he's my acapella group, which by the way, college acapella is something that we need to talk about. In terms of what a fucking just like what an interesting.
What's the yes meme or you know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah, sure.
It's that, but it's just no.
No. No. We 100% need to talk about this because I feel okay. So as we talked about, I transferred schools and I was like, I need some sort of social group. And my friend and roommate was in an a cappella group. And I was like, they're
fucking cults, right?
I'm a little musical. I can, I might as well try. So I got in, unfortunately for them, because I'm not, quite frankly, all that good of a singer, but whatever.
You probably get a lot better from doing it though.
Yeah, I think I have actually. But in any case, holy shit. And it's not even our group is essentially a social club that is we're an a cappella group, wink wink. Like it's
like
our group's not
Frisbee
that bad, but there's obviously it's a state school, so there's 15 a cappella groups, and there's an a cappella union, which is just absolute fodder for material, and it's hilarious. Like how seriously some of the, because the funny thing about a cappella is that it's not a thing after college. It's like lacrosse. It just doesn't exist.
There's professional lacrosse.
Yeah, and there's professional
they get paid
professional
$20,000
a cappella too, but no one gives a shit.
Professional acapella? Professional
Pentatonics.
acapella?
There's one.
Okay,
There's
yes, they blew up because they made it on a fucking TV show.
Oh, really? Is that why? Also,
Yeah,
why do
they were on the
only make
Sing Off, which
Christmas
was,
music?
by the way, the best singing TV show of all time was the Sing Off. That shit fucking slapped. It was all acapella groups, and it was incredible. It was so good because acapella is an insane, when it's done right, it's insane.
But the issue is that it's done right about 4% of the time.
You need people who are
Right.
you need people who are as talented as what you see in the Boston, what are they called? The Boston Pops or whatever, Boston. You need people who are that talented at singing to come together to do acapella, but there's not the
Which
not
is
the
why
market.
college acapella is hilarious.
Except for that season that Pentatonics won, the Dartmouth Airs came in second.
flex.
Big Hanover flex.
Yeah, dude,
Did
I was rooting for them hard. I voted
they-
for them
did
10
they
times on
make the
social
face?
media.
Oh, everyone makes
acapella-
the face. Yeah, everyone makes the acapella face. It's I'm worried but also
lots of-
coming,
Yeah.
I remember after our first performance at the next rehearsal, they pulled me aside and were like, you need to not look like you want to kill yourself when we're performing.
You're like,
And
actually,
I
no,
was like,
this is good.
Actually, no, I need to sing. Fuck
yeah,
off.
yeah, exactly. But
you need to look a little bit more like, ooh.
yeah, exactly. That's I mean,
You really need to give yourself that accent. It's an acapella accent that needs to come out here.
Yeah.
Sir, we need you to look a little bit more like you're taking a cock up your ass.
that's I mean, more or less. I kind of feel like that's
and
what's
give
happening.
the sound effects between words too.
Yeah.
We were Chris and I were on a hall with a guy who was really into singing freshman year. Holy
That's the issue,
fuck,
dude. There's something about singing.
He talked about it a fair amount, but
Yeah,
I would say he was less into singing than fucking was.
The issue with singing
Talked about their acapella more than
is
him.
that the issue with singing is that anybody can physically do it. And so you have this, there's literally no barrier to entry. And so way too many people
pick this motherfucker up.
I sold some tickets.
Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly is a case in point.
Machine Gun Kelly is actually a case in point that not everyone can sing.
In defense of Machine Gun Kelly.
All right, we're gonna stop the episode right
In
there.
defense of Machine Gun
Come
Kelly.
back
That's
next
the title.
week.
That's the title.
There it is. Clip it.
Y'all, well, you're an acapella group. You, me, the rest of the world. If we tried to sing into a microphone, and then you tried to play, and then you played beneath it, Machine Gun Kelly singing the same thing,
Oh, you do way better.
he would kill us.
Oh,
he would sound
for
like
sure.
someone who fucking sings.
Yeah, of course.
That's. I don't know that I agree with that. He's auto-tuned to shit, dude.
Yeah, but that whole genre is auto-tuned to shit.
Okay,
You
fine.
May, you may
also-
be right, but I have
also-
zero confidence.
No, I'm sorry.
Here's where the
I'm
music
sorry.
producer in me will say, "Shut the fuck up, everyone."
Okay.
Every song
All right.
you've heard on the radio is auto-tuned to shit.
I know that.
He's auto-tuned to shit.
Sure, but
And
that's
all the harmonies, the background vocals are auto-tuned at 100%.
okay.
Like full blown.
But I thought, maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought your premise is that he's a better singer than the average person, and that's where I disagree.
Oh,
I
no. The average singer does, because you learn like vocal techniques, right? Like I don't really know them that well, but there's shit about. There's just techniques to singing. And so the average person who tries to sing, here's what they try and do, right? They try and get the high notes that everyone fucking wants, and then they just start cracking their voice. And their voice starts doing the like,
Yeah.
like that shit. It comes out. That's the average person trying to sing.
Okay.
And it's cracking.
Yeah.
You can hear it. Like their voice starts. It sounds like a teenager going through puberty. Like
Yeah.
they'll try and hit that. I'm going higher. Like they'll hit that shit, and their voice will just start doing that. And it's like, Machine Gun Kelly at least knows like I can't fucking do that. So
Which
I'm
is
just gonna
why
go
his
high.
cover of
These are
Misery
tickets.
Business
Like it'll
is
sound like
four
a fucking,
notes.
It'll
Yeah.
sound like a coherent thing at least. And so I'm not saying he's the best singer of all. He's far from it. But he at least has the majority of people don't have any sort of vocal constraint. Like when they try and sing, they think it just sort of means like yelling into a microphone at a high pitched voice.
That's what most college acapella.
I mean, hey, it worked for Kenny Hoopla.
I don't know what that is, but sure.
I do know
Funny.
that. That's a niche joke, but all right.
That better not be a fucking.
It's
No, it's not.
Okay, then it's
You
allowed.
probably know at least one song by him. She's gonna cut my head off. I don't care. I don't care.
You've got a good pop punk voice. You should fucking send it.
Absolutely not.
Yes, you could do it.
All right,
With
can we
some
record?
auto-tune?
Can we record a pop punk song tonight?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Let's
we got to
do
go
it.
out. But
Oh, yeah,
if
true.
on a night where we're not going out, I'm very down. I've got the electric guitar. We've got the microphones. Let's make some. Pop
I know
I've got
how to play
Alex, you sing.
power chords.
I've got the
I do
pop
fucking
punk
too.
hair,
You can do
dude.
you can do the shit on the electric. I'll throw some. So
Yeah, you need a
I'm
little
just gonna go out
acoustic.
on music shit, and that's boring.
Wait,
So I'm gonna
wait.
stop.
What
I'm
if we
gonna
go
stop. I'm gonna
Midwest
stop.
emo? I'll bring my trumpet.
Dude, we
Hell
have such
yeah.
a good. I love Midwest emo. Throw that shit on while I'm working on some spreadsheets. Oh my
Shut
god.
the fuck up. Shut the fuck
The
up.
cool part about
Okay.
that is that you don't actually have to sing. You just have to talk and sound like this, and it's fine.
But you've got to kind of there's an accent to it that like the Blink 182 guys really get it down. It's like you've got to sound like sort of like an autistic Canadian. It's like
yeah.
to annoy, like it's like weird, like
The reason it's
really
like
constrained.
that is because it was American. So British invasion happened, and then American singers imitated that kind of sound, and then the British imitated that, and then Americans imitated that.
It's
and
like
that's what
5
Blink
layers of
182 is doing.
feedback.
Yeah.
So Blink 182 is the
Where
the
are
American
you?
version of
Yes,
And
that's what
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, you got
You
it.
can hear it too. Is that
Can cannot
say
sleep,
that, it's like, oh.
cannot dream tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
you nailed
That
it,
was
dude.
that was incredible.
It's almost like he sings.
I saw a tweet the other day and it killed me. It was one of those rare things. But yeah, it was like this person was like, "Why is there like a mandatory accent for pop punk singer?" Like I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, that's
because it's
exactly
very
what that
true.
is.
It's like
Why.
it's
Yeah.
like why it's very like you listen to Youngblood, who I think has a phenomenal voice, but he very
Yeah.
much does that like whoa. It's like this like
Yeah.
whoa thing.
There's a name for this. I can't remember what it is, but there is a name.
I know. Yeah, I think I've seen that same
punk.
cheddar music or YouTube video.
Yeah. I don't remember that, but thanks for calling that out, Nick.
Yep, no
I will
problem.
stand by my Kenny Hoopla joke being really funny to 6 people.
There's
Well,
no
good-
way there's a singer named Teddy Oobla.
Yeah, you're right. There's not.
That'd
No
be
way.
Kenny Hoopla, but
Wait, what'd you say? You said Kenny?
Yeah,
Kenny.
Kenny Hoopla.
There's no way that's what you were saying.
Dude, we'll
you were
pull him
saying
up
Teddy
after.
Oobla.
We'll pull him up after.
You 100%. I'm going to pull this up in post. You were saying Teddy Oobla.
No.
You were not saying Kenny Hoopla.
no, I remember because
You know-
Alex introduced me to them on a 13-hour drive to Ohio, and I was like, "This is the perfect time." It was in like Buffalo, New York. I was like, "This is Buffalo music."
That
dude.
drive was crazy,
Okay,
by the way.
That's right. Oh yeah, because that was the fucking insurrection happened
Yeah.
on that drive.
Nick and
Very
I
cool.
Yeah.
Can we take a quick time out? Niche New England boys who went to college in Ohio moment. This is relatable to like all 3 people.
I'm gonna check
But
out of
the
this.
drive to Ohio when you hit Buffalo and you're like, oh fuck yes, I'm there. But then you've got 3 more hours is the worst
No,
thing
it's way
ever.
more. It's like 6 hours.
No, it's 3 hours from an hour south of Cleveland.
Chris, I have to pee. Can I just set this on the ground?
You can
or
set
do
it
we have
wherever
to,
the
like,
fuck
turn
you
it
want.
off? Okay.
But that being said, if you break it, you owe me $300. So set it wherever you want with that in mind.
That's the most careful Nick has ever treated any object in his life. All right, now we just got to shit on Nick.
That was powerful of me. God damn.
That was really good. That's the energy we need to have on this podcast.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm so sorry.
What are we gonna make fun of Nick for?
Man, I don't fucking know. He's come across as very not make fun of bull today. No, there was something last night you told me about him that I wanted to bully him
Oh, the
for.
monkey lab. He's the boss of the monkey lab.
That's not nearly bullyable enough. Did I really? I guess Jaime thought that was super bullyable.
Well, it was the army thing. He went from being a frat boy in the army to being the boss of the monkey lab and living with a bunch of CS nerds.
Yeah. I guess that is what you said.
Yeah.
But now that just seems...
I was
whatever.
like, fine.
Yeah, that's not nearly as...
Yeah. Nick. There's not a whole lot of material on him, frankly.
Well, maybe here's what we bully him about, is that he's just he's got his life too together. He's not interesting enough as a podcast guest. We need your little brother, it seems.
That he doesn't know. Dude, my little brother is so hyper on his shit. He is...
Yeah, that makes for a good podcast. We'll just yell at each other.
No. I mean, I guess.
No, I mean, it's a terrible podcast, but it'd be fun.
It would
I haven't
be
been able to yell at someone yet.
It's true. We need to get someone on the podcast who's like hyper combative. This is why we need to get a podcast.
No, but not hyper combative. He's trying to be like a performative show.
But that's what I'm saying, dude, is we can draw out the real because we know him.
Dude, you know what would be much more iconic of us would be to wait like 2 years until like kind of makes it, and then we do that and we get him canceled. We get
I
to
think
say
we should.
some really
I think
bad
we
shit.
should get in early.
But then what happens?
I don't
Who
know.
listens to it? Bleep.
He-
Cut that. Cut that.
He has a few.
Cut that.
He has a few listeners. I think we should. I was gonna do a bit where on the off
Wait,
chance.
why am I cutting that but not like the names of the people in our fraternity?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not cutting
You
that.
literally
Never
said
mind.
that
Cancel the
this
cut
will
that.
Who cares?
Did
We have one
I
listener,
really?
and he's literally sitting. Yeah, you said.
Did I say?
Yeah, you said it.
Worcester Polytech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where we went
Which is where we went to school.
because we're definitely that smart. Actually, you probably
I got in.
Did you?
Yeah, but I don't want to go to a fucking school with 70% guys.
Yeah, I didn't apply. I don't know.
I don't know why the fuck
that's
I
smart.
applied to RPI and WPI. Like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Nick, can you grab me cider, please? Yeah. Thanks.
Just grab me anything as long as it has alcohol in it.
Get Chris a sip of sunshine. Sponsored by Sip of Sunshine.
That would be an epic sponsor. Who would be good? Who should we gun for as our first sponsor?
Hymns.
Nah, that's so everyone does hymns. When I'm listening to a small podcast and they start getting sponsored and it's like hymns or Roman or any of that, the fucking things that sponsor everyone.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not joking. It turns me off from wanting to listen to the podcast. I find it so upsetting when I hear like the generic sponsor on a podcast. Like if we ever
Their
in
ad
like
spend
5
is
years.
insane.
Yeah. I've been on the receiving
but I mean,
end of
clearly it works for some of these. Basically, have realized that there's a market. There's a lot of people who listen to podcasts, and if we say fuck it to TV ads and just go all in it, because they probably spend less. Like to get to partner with Barstool and get in the Barstool network and be like one of the advertisers. Maybe you don't spend less, but the number of listeners that the combined Barstool podcast network has for content that they're pumping out every day is 10x like MSNBC or some shit. So.
Yeah.
Unironically, that's my favorite part of podcasts is that they have now turned just like getting any drug you want for $100 a month into a thing.
Dude, it's great.
Like, what do you want? A fucking testosterone prescription? You want dick pills? You want fucking Adderall?
Reverse
like,
steroids?
Yeah, exactly.
Pay, yeah.
Just fucking pay us
If
money.
you can
Pay us money.
$100 a month, you can get whatever, grade legal drug you
we're
want.
not starting at 100. That's way too low.
No, that's what it costs, like, for any of these.
Yeah,
services.
for like.
Oh,
Hims or
you're talking
whatever.
about someone paying us.
Oh,
Dude, it's
I'm
hilarious
like, no,
too,
we're not starting
because
that
Hims
low.
is like, it's like $4 a pill for Viagra or like $30 a month for hair medication. You can buy all that shit with Bitcoin from India for like pennies. Like I don't have a prescription for my hair pills. I just buy them from India with Bitcoin. Like this is like that's the life hack,
gay.
dude. Why is that gay?
No, that's
Because
awesome.
you're using Bitcoin.
I mean, it's not good for the environment. That keeps me up
also-
at night, but
Whatever.
Dude, we
This
should
is the first time you mentioned Bitcoin, so I guess you're not a bit. I'm
not
just
a
feel like
Bitcoin guy.
75% of people who use Bitcoin
I
to
only
buy things
no.
are like Bitcoin
I
bros.
only use
and they're my
Bitcoin.
least favorite.
This is you got to understand. I don't give a shit about Bitcoin from an investment perspective.
Okay, then
I
we're fine. Then we're
only
fine.
use it to buy drugs. That is it.
That's fine with me. Yeah, the sports gambling website that I use, the only way to deposit money into the sports book would be the only way to deposit money without a fee would be to use Bitcoin. But I'm not going to deal with setting up how to buy Bitcoin just for that. I don't know how. So
Buying Bitcoin is like could not be easier.
Yeah.
where do I go to Bitcoin.com?
Like pretty much. Pretty
much, yeah.
It's not quite the address, but
okay, well, whatever. Like I'm not gonna. I pay what? Like if
You
I'm
can literally use
if I'm
Cash App,
depositing
dude. I buy it from my
$50 into my
phone.
fucking sports book, I'm not, and I have to pay a 50-cent fee compared to what will it take me to set up an account to buy Bitcoin? 5 minutes?
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
But
like,
that 50
okay.
cents is easily worth
But
those
if
5
you want
minutes.
to buy drugs for cheap from India, you have to use Bitcoin. So,
Okay, but the drugs I buy are all legal in this state, and I have no interest in buying other drugs.
All right, well, listen, you don't have to tell us you're a loser, Chris.
yeah, seriously. What? You're telling me you don't fuck around with muscle relaxants, bro?
Yeah, the drugs Nick buys are like...
I buy all the-
he
I do all the
texts me and
weird
he's like,
shit.
Also,
Dude, I bought
I'm
Muscle
way too
Relax.
fucking paranoid to buy shit from India. Are you kidding me?
Hey, they got an FDA. It's not as good as ours, but you
They
know.
do have one.
They do have one. I don't know.
That's fine.
I'm so nervous about drugs. There's no way.
Just like don't buy anything that's like actually scheduled and you're fine.
That sounds like the reverse of what I should do. Wait, no.
No. You just don't buy anything. If
backwards.
you're buying like fucking meth or ketamine, that's one thing. But I buy boring. I buy like modafinil and hair pills and dick pills, and like that's pretty much it. So and muscle relaxants.
I don't find myself being drawn to wanting any of those things.
Muscle
So-
relaxants are great, dude. It's awesome.
Do you feel it?
Oh, dude, it was weird. I bought a bunch a while ago, and then the other night I was like, I'm bored and sad, and I was like, I have drugs I can try. So I ate dinner and then took one and felt like kind of nothing. And then I made a pancake and took another one. And then I stood up and it felt like physically, it felt like I was hammered. But like mentally, like I was just kind of like chilled out.
Oh my God, this sounds amazing.
And I went to bed. I had the best sleep of my life and then had the best workout of my life the next day. It was great.
Yeah, but I don't know. No, I mean, it sounds great. My nervousness is is almost never about like something happening to me the day of taking the pills. It's more just like I don't want to die of a heart attack at 35. That's what scares me.
That's understandable. That's understandable.
And I'm not saying whatever you just said will lead. There's probably no.
No, I know what you mean.
I know just like random shit. Like I'm just like I don't know. I hear.
Yeah, that's why I'm not vaccinated.
It's obviously it's obvious. that is based. It's obviously rare, but like stories of like that like super fit dad who died of a heart attack at 47, like that shit just petrifies me, and I don't know exactly why.
Not you haven't read Thinking Fast and Slow without telling me you have.
This is where I'm not to stroke myself off, but this is where it comes in handy being a biochem major, is because it's like, all right, like I understand what these things are doing to me.
I don't understand,
and so it's like, all right. I'm not as well because I have a friend who's in med school, and I'll tell him the shit that I like to. He's like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, I know what I'm doing. And then he like actually explains to me what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's not a good idea. But like, I'm like, you know what the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Like I'm at like the peak.
I'm actually not familiar with that.
Really?
Am I retarded?
No, it's
a very useful concept.
It is a useful concept. It's like, okay, so as you learn more and more about a thing, your confidence in your knowledge of that thing goes up quickly until you hit a point, and then you learn more about it, and then essentially you realize how little you know, and it drops off a cliff. I know
exactly
and then
what you're saying.
Very slowly climbs.
Yeah. But yes, I'm very familiar with that, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah,
because it's so fun. It's so goddamn fun.
At the beginning, you're like, oh, I know everything, and then you realize you don't know everything.
Yep.
I live my life.
What's it called?
The Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, fuck Dunning and Kruger for putting a name to that shit. That shit fucking sucks.
So this is like, I try to live my life by getting to the top of that first peak and knowing if I learn any more, I'm going to fall. So I'm just going to find something else to learn about. And now I'm way too confident in my knowledge of a bunch of things that I just simply don't have.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, so Chris and I were trying to figure out ways to make fun of you while you were in the bathroom, and I will say you're very hard to make fun of because you're hyper aware of every single flaw that you have.
Yeah, almost to a fault. I'm, I
feel like I'm pretty. That was my my high school advisor told me that.
Yeah,
and it was a very he was like, for a kid in high school, you are way too self-aware.
Yeah,
and. I took that, like, at the time, I was like, I took it as just a full-blown compliment. And I still take it as a compliment.
It's a compliment, but it's not a good thing.
But I'm not entirely happy about it the way I used to be. I used to take it as, like in high school, I was like, oh, shit, I'm just more mature than anyone else who's here. And now I'm like, this fucking sucks. Dude. I would really rather have no idea what's going on, or like, just be clueless to like how my actions affect others and just be confident all the time.
Yeah.
I think I would, I mean, I don't actually wish that, but there's a part of me a lot of the time that does wish that.
Yeah. It's really, I'm at that really awesome point of intelligence where I'm like smart enough to know, like I'm not so dumb that I'm just like blissfully unaware of everything that's going on around me, but I'm like not smart enough to like actually like do anything about it. And so it's like if there's a Dunning-Kruger type curve to general intelligence, I'm like, I think at the bottom of after that first peak, and it's like, that's
part of what being roughly our age, I think is.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that right around, and I don't know how much it has to do with socially, or like just like social norms versus actual just like generally aging. I don't know the answer to that. But there is something about senior year of high school feeling like you've kind of got shit figured out.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude. It's hilarious. It's just so funny.
The slap in the face that is the next 5 years of your life is kind of miserable.
I wish I could hang out with 18-year-old me.
Oh my god.
And just be like, bro.
I wish I could beat the shit out of him.
Oh my god, dude. I'm like quintessential peaked in high school, and I just want to like sit down with that kid and be like,
me fucking too.
you're
man.
a moron in like so many ways that you don't even know yet, and it's hilarious. And I bet 29-year or 30-year-old me is gonna sit down with 22-year-old me and be like, you're a moron.
Well, that's where so I
don't
have
know.
this. I think about this all the time, and it's like, so I question, and maybe this is a good thing, maybe it isn't, but I find myself questioning whether or not I can trust myself with any of the things I believe a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it is
So-
tough.
Can I just say, so I was talking with one of my friends, and I was talking about how I believe that most people don't have like fundamental axioms that they function off. And that's been a thing that I've been trying to do lately, is like try to really pin down what is my, you could say moral code, but like, what are the truths or the core beliefs that I function off of? And we were talking about it, and he was just kind of like, yeah, man, like that's cool. And then I had a realization that like, okay, this is like, to be able to do that is a privilege.
Yes.
To be able to really sit down and think, what are the core things that I believe, and how do I not retroactively, but how do I like then build everything off that, and not just go, I have these basic needs that I need to be met, and like that's what I want the future to be. And I was like, man, to like every day I become more aware of like how hard I'm living life on easy mode right now.
Tell me about it.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to make of it, but yeah.
It's sort of an interesting. I remember having a. Do you guys ever do this where you
This
go
just
on?
further solidifies. This is like the most white guy podcast that's maybe ever been
Dude, but we're
recorded.
leaning into it. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's
we're-
true. So it makes it
we're
okay.
only gonna have
Self-awareness
white
makes it fine.
listeners.
Good. I mean, what?
Wait a minute. Time out. No, that canceled.
White
whatever.
identified
No, it's
listeners?
just because people who aren't white are going to be like, yeah, you're only just coming around to this. Like,
Yeah, you
no
fucking
shit,
moron.
dumbass.
Yeah, your lives have been easy as fuck. I don't know. I had a, but no, but here was where I was going with this. Do you guys ever just like when you're driving alone, just go on like a rant in the car?
In my head, yes.
You never say it out loud.
No.
No,
I don't know.
no, because I feel like
shit, am I
I
a
feel like
psychopath?
no, because I feel
Am
like
I a psychopath?
No,
Yo, this would be epic. Am I a psychopath? Because I do it out loud pretty often.
No, it's because I feel like if I did that, then I'd be like, oh, that's weird. But if I do it in my head, it's fine.
It's
So-
a very thin line.
Am I above you guys
Why?
because I recognize it doesn't matter,
Yes.
or am I a psychopath?
No, I
you're
think you're
above
above
us.
us because you recognize.
Or
it
am I
doesn't matter.
both?
You're both.
I'm
It's like
probably
singing
both,
in the
right?
car. It's like I'm literally still too embarrassed. I've sung in this gay ass
But you
acapella
fucking
group.
sing it up, and you don't sing in the car?
No, because that's cringe.
That's
No,
That's not cringe,
that
dude.
one doesn't make any sense.
I
to me.
sang
I'm
I
not
know
gonna
it
lie.
doesn't. You think I think that makes sense? I know that doesn't make any sense.
Here's what you got to do, and honest to God, here's all I think it takes is just do it once and sing as loud as you can for the whole song, and then you'll be over it.
Especially if it's a song that's like out of your range, so you
And
sound
here's
like
what you
shit.
got to do
You know?
is when you stop at a light and when you're fully stopped and you think people might be looking at you because you're not
Go
moving,
louder,
you
go
got to
harder,
keep going.
go harder.
You don't
Stare
even
at
have to go harder. You just got to keep going.
I'm gonna go misery business on the ride home.
Yeah, you just got to keep
When I'm
going.
on Route
I
2.
think that's the biggest trick is
Yep.
because that shit. I will do that when I'm fully like when I'm in a good mood, just
Yep.
fucking like I don't know, vibing in the car with the music I like. I will turn it the shit down, even if my windows are all the way down. When I pull up to a light because I'm like nervous about someone judging me, and leaning into that, just leaving it the fuck up.
Want to know what the
That's some
cringiest
gang
thing
gang
I've
shit.
ever done in my entire life? And this is a strong, like, there are a lot of things.
Wait, no, I know what it actually is. But why don't you say
You're
yours
not
first?
right because you weren't there, but I want you to
Can
guess.
you guess it without
Please
giving
guess.
it away
Guess.
to see if you got it?
Because there's a lot of, but for the record, there's so much shit that could fit this bill because I'm a walking
Okay,
cringe
if you
fest.
made it this far into the podcast, you know that there's a lot of shit for each of us that could make it into that.
for sure.
We've
All right,
all done
well,
super cringe shit.
All right, Alex, guess, please.
Head from a girl with a shitty haircut.
Thanks, Vosh. All right, no, guess.
Head from a girl with a shitty haircut is epic.
I mean, wait,
Girls
no.
with shitty
That's some
haircuts.
sus bangs.
If the only thing you gave, if the
talking
only
about-
description of a girl you gave me
okay.
was she has what was it, weird haircut, something sus bangs.
yeah,
A
epic.
10 out of 10 head.